Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Kris Kloss, and this is yet another episode of Xtreme Memories right here on the Wrestling Chatter channel. Subscribe to it, guys. Hit the bell, the notification button. Turn the red, turn it to gray already, all right? Subscribe. The more subscribers we get, the more great content we can bring to you. Xtreme Memories with Kris Kloss. My name is Kris Kloss. I am your host, and Xtreme Memories comes to you on the Wrestling Chatter YouTube channel on the 15th and 30th of every month. So thank you guys for all your support. And look, man, it's been an absolute joy, an absolute honor to be doing this show and to just be reconnecting with all these great guys that I used to work with, great guys and gals. And my guest right here, no exception to that. Thank you again, fans, for tuning in. We're going to kick it off right now, and I'm going to welcome to this episode of Xtreme Memories. All I got to say to ya is booyah! That's right. He is the Gigolo. Steve Rizzano himself, an intricate part of Extreme Pro Wrestling. I haven't seen you, my friend, in a long time. Probably last time I seen you is one of the reunion shows. And brother, how the hell are you, man?
I'm doing okay. I'm like I said earlier, we're just trying to survive the apocalypse here. And last time I saw you was at that reunion show. I wasn't doing good back then, but I come a long way. I decided to get out of the chair and put away the pills and do all that, and
Wow.
and I got better. So
That's great to hear, because we were, just for the fans, Steve and I, before we went on live here, we were talking on the phone and reconnecting. And I tell you, man, that's the first question I asked you was, how you doing physically compared to how you were doing at XPW Cold Day in Hell? It was great that you were a part of that show, but that was physically,
it didn't go work out. Yeah, the spot.
Yeah, but you were there, and we got to do it, thankfully, and it's part of history now. So you were there, thankfully, and look, dude, kudos to you for doing all that in the condition you were in. So, but now, like I said, we were talking on the phone and reconnecting. We're both getting into mixed martial arts and boxing. You're getting into jiu-jitsu.
Yep.
Wonderful, man. And I'm sure the fans will be very happy to know that, knowing how you were doing at that time, a Cold Day in Hell time.
Yeah.
They probably thought it would be a cold day in hell to see you out of that chair. So kudos to you, bro.
Thank you.
We'll get into that later on, because that comes a little bit later, talking about the later days of XPW. But before we get into even the beginning days of XPW, when you came into the company, the beginning days for you in XPW, Steve, can you please share how you got into pro wrestling as a fan and as a performer, a worker?
I always liked wrestling. I watched it as a kid. The funny thing was, I knew what I wanted to be as a kid. I wanted to be a stuntman. Dar Robinson, if you ever heard of him, was my all-time hero. He's jumping off buildings and flipping cars and doing all that. That's what I wanted to do.
Wow.
And so one night I go to a bar, and I got into a little altercation, and the bouncer there had a big mohawk, and he was a big guy. He goes, "Come back in like 3 months, they'll forget about it." I said, "Okay." So I come back, and wrestling is on all the monitors. And I go, "Man, that's something I always like to do." And he starts laughing. I go, "Why is everyone laughing when I say that?" He goes, No. I'm laughing with you. I'm a pro wrestler." I'm like, "Oh, okay." And so his name was Rico Perez, and we did our own backyard thing with Bill and Chris Cole and Shane Dynasty. We were CWI, Championship Wrestling International. We had an old boxing ring we used. And
what year would this have been?
Sorry. Oh my God, 94, 95, something like that.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and I got into it then, and then Shane was our artist. He did all our flyers and did the cartoons and stuff like that. He's a really good artist, and he's now a tattoo artist. I don't know if you know that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so we got our promotion listed in one of the wrestling rags, and a guy named Roland Alexander contacted Shane or whatever and said, I want you guys to come to APW for a tryout. Well, we all went down there on like a Saturday morning at like 9:00. And we did our matches and stuff and from there he goes, well, you need to be retrained and all that. I was the only one that stayed. I said, this is because the place had a wrestling ring, a Coke machine, a shower, video room, weights, all that, all the bells and whistles. I go, I love, this is where I'm going to stay. Sorry, guys, I'm staying. And so that's how it took off for me. And my trainer was Mike Modest and Rick, Dancing Rick Thompson.
Okay.
And he was from Roy Shire's promotion. And that was most of my training. Roland had a little bit to do with it. But mostly Mike Modest and Rick Thompson trained me. And that was for a few years. We started our first show there doing the Saturday night shows and got the tag straps of Tony Jones.
Tony Jones.
I got the tag straps of Mike Modest first.
Right.
And then Tony Jones. I still had tag team titles when I quit, and I went to Oregon to work because I had just had enough of Roland. I'd had enough of the company. I'd had enough with all the BS. I'm sure you heard the rumors. And so I got a call from a promoter in LA named Jonathan Holliday, who was the guy that was contesting Dan Severn for the belt back in the 90s or early 2000s.
Okay.
So I go wrestle for him, Oregon, Portland Wrestling.
Yeah.
And I got into there, and back then you had to have a license. You had to take an HIV test, a hepatitis C test, and a drug test, and all that. And so I went there, worked for them. They were impressed with me, and from there, that got me into Canada with ECCW.
Oh wow!
And with Tony Kazina, he got me in.
I remember now that you did some stuff up in Canada. Now I never remember what the name was though.
Yeah, it was ECCW, Extreme Canadian Championship Wrestling, and they're just another XPW or another APW hardcore. They did both. They wrestled. Michelle Starr is the promoter. He liked me. He kept me on, and I got a couple straps up there, and I went back and forth there for a couple of years. And then I kept in touch the whole time with Kevin Kleinrock.
Okay.
And Kevin says, I'm going to bring you in. I'm going to bring you in. And this is when during you guys were running SCCW, I think.
Right. Oh, wow. So this is the XPW.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, news to me, man. I if I heard that, I probably forgot. I don't think I have ever heard that you were going to be involved with SCCW. Again, Slammers Wrestling Gym, then the genesis of SCCW, and SCCW kind of unofficially became XPW. Right.
And so, Kevin, we're going to bring you in the show. I'll give you a call next week. And that kept going on for like a year. And then I didn't hear from him for months. And he calls me back and he says, are you ready to come down? I go, yeah, I've been ready for about a year, Kevin. And he goes, well, we're with a new company called XPW. We have a new money person, blah, blah, blah. Why don't you come down? And who else is down there? I said, Joe Applebaum. He's my road dog. And we always rode everywhere together. And so I can't remember how that went. If he had contacted you first, or Kevin reached out to him first, or me second, or me first and him second. I'm not sure. It doesn't matter. So then we got the rental car and came down and did that first 3 shows. It was Thursday, Friday, or Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We'd be in
Bakersfield and then Ventura.
Bakersfield, Ventura, and of course the big show was in LA, whether it was Hollywood or in the Valley or in downtown at the LA Sports Arena.
Oh, I love that place, the LA Sports Arena.
What is sad. It can't tell you how saddened I am that place is gone.
It's gone?
It's gone.
Why'd they tear it down?
We built a soccer stadium there next to the LA Coliseum, which is outdoors, and you could have a soccer stadium. It makes no sense. Angelinos. Like, I actually was at the very last event, Bruce Springsteen concert. Bruce Springsteen, by the way, well, not to get off track here, but Bruce Springsteen talking about the LA Sports Arena, a lot of respect for him, Pearl Jam, and there's another band. When they would come to LA, they were prominent, big time players, and they were always, Staples Center wants us, and neither one of those guys.
That would have been nice.
Yeah, they nope. We're playing at the LA Sports Arena, better acoustics. It's not this corporate, it was just they loved it, and there was it was known as the dump, compared to, but it was the dump. It was the dump that still jumps, and there was something special about that place that you just don't know until you're there. But yeah, man, we're going to get into that, but historic, in the Grand Olympic Auditorium.
Oh, so much history there. Ali Frazier, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there is good news and bad news on that. The bad news is it's no longer a sports venue. It's turned into a church. It's a Korean Christian church. But you know what? The building is still there, guys. So you never know what could happen. But the LA Sports Arena, really sad that place is gone. But I digress. Getting back though, as you were saying, getting the call. You don't know if you or Joe Pogo got the call first, but you guys basically both came in right at the same time.
Yeah, we came down together. The first show we came down together. Yeah, and we did those first 3 shows, and after we came down, I said, me and Joe were talking. I go, "Are you going to sign on with these guys?" He goes, "Well, yeah. What else are we going to do? This is our WWF," and he was right. And XPW was my WWF, even though I worked for WWF twice as a jobber. That didn't really count. I mean, it did, I guess. But
who were you? Who did you go against when you were enhancement talent for WWE?
I was Duke the Dumpster Drozy, and then Justin Hawk Bradshaw on Monday Night Raw, and it was Duke the Dumpster Drozy on Saturday Superstars, and that was the match. They wanted Hunter Hearst Helmsley to come in and hit me with a can, disqualify Duke, blah blah blah. And they wanted to do that, and they said and then the lawyers called and said no, we can't do that. So. It ended up just being a schmoz where he's wrestling me, beats me in 30 seconds, and then Hunter comes in, jumps him, and all that. And then the next night was just.
Sorry, is that anywhere up on YouTube? Do you know?
Probably. I can't find it. Bradshaw is. Justin Hawk Bradshaw is. That's and that guy, what night and day difference between styles. Duke the Dumpster Drozy, I could barely feel him. Yeah. Bradshaw, everything he did, I felt. Everything was stiff. Everything was hurt like hell. Because I guess he had just gotten back from Japan, All Japan, and they're stiff there. So,
yeah.
Oh, man, he gave me a good licking. But it was a pretty good match.
What year was that? Those 2 years?
I know it was in San Jose State University, and it had to be 96, 90, around there. When it was around the time where the Monday Night Wars were going on with Nitro, with WCW and WWF, and before they were WWE, and the Hitman, all that heat and all that, and Shawn Michaels and all that stuff was going on. So.
Sounds like late 96.
Yeah.
Okay. And that was you said now one was a Superstars taping, one was a Wrestling Challenge or
Monday Night Raw.
Oh, okay. So you did Superstars right at the tail end of WWF Superstars. That was they were freezing that show out. That was always the A show, and then the kind of morphed into Monday Night Raw as the A, and then Superstars just kind of went away, and then they brought it back and it a kind of a low rent version of what it used to be.
Right.
But you were there when it was still a thing.
Oh yeah. It was there. We sat in the corner and listened, and it was so entertaining because everybody's coming in and out. X-Pac was there, and Bradshaw was there, and everybody, is just coming in and out and doing their thing. We're just kind of sitting watching. But the one thing I learned in those 2 days is those guys were miserable. they're all on the phone talking to their lawyers or their wives or fighting. And that was back when still WWF was going almost 300 days a year.
Exactly.
And everybody was getting divorced and all that. So when I got there, I see Undertaker and like 4 other guys on the payphones talking, and I'm like, I go, Modest, why is everyone on the phone? He goes, because they're away and they're getting divorced. I go, oh, okay.
and their wives are all worried and thinking they're having a good time. And
exactly.
No, honey, I swear. And then the next guy, no, honey, I swear. The next guy, no, honey.
Exactly.
It's as old as time, right?
Yeah.
But let me ask, okay, so I was going to say or ask you, like, that had to be a great experience, a learning experience. I spent some time too backstage, becoming friends with Joey Styles when he was working there. And yeah, you can learn a lot. But at the same time, you also understand that you're kind of a major cog in the wheel, a spoke in the wheel, like as opposed, which we'll get into, XPW or a company like that. It's like, whoa, okay, now I'm really just not so scripted. I'm being myself, and I can kind of navigate and show my personality. And that's the big trade-off, with the guys. Like we had Sabu, and Sabu's got one of the best stories of all time. And by the way, I just want to give a shout out to Sabu, because we've the unfortunate news of Super Genie passing away. So all our best.
Oh,
yeah, all our best to.
I had dinner. I had dinner with Sabu and him 2 years ago at Cauliflower Alley. We had dinner together. And
this news, as we're recording this, fans, this news just came in, and
oh wow,
it was an honor to have him and her on Xtreme Memories not too long ago. So I'm just in shock. And
what did she die of? Was it?
Like, we don't know right now.
Okay.
So it's but she wasn't doing too well. She had a leg amputated, and I believe, so I just want to say, I don't want to get this wrong, but I think it was diabetes. Not sure. But all our best to you, Sabu, and from all of us here at the Wrestling Chatter and Xtreme Memories. Like, can't tell you how much we are.
Anything you need, Sabu, you reach out to us. Anything you need.
100%. So, okay, getting back to this though, Steve, so you're talking about working in WWE, having that experience, but also very interesting seeing the how it was playing out with these guys. Are they really happy here, and is the trade-off worth it? So, but now, what was the buzz? You're from Northern California. You're one of the NorCal cliques that would come down to do XPW shows. Yourself, Pogo, Vic Grimes, Michael Modest, Ron Head, ring announcer, Donovan Morgan, Tony Jones, all these guys. And what was that then? Now, you said you got the call from Kevin, but once XPW started, gaining momentum, we got all these stars. Like you said, we're at the LA Sports Arena, the home of WrestleMania 2 and 7. So much history there. And then we're going to the Olympic, Muhammad Ali, Frazier. What was, when that started really kind of gaining steam, what was the buzz up where you were in NorCal about XPW?
That they were saying, a lot of people, especially Roland, he was saying a lot of people were talking online saying, oh, it's just another ECW wannabe. They're never going to make it. Some guy named Rob, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you know what? I've been there, and these guys got money, and not in a high school gymnasium or an Elks Lodge for once. I'm in actual real stadiums wrestling in front of real people, So, and that was it. I said, fine, if you guys don't want any of it, then go away and leave us alone. And we just, it was, like I said, that was you guys were my WWF. It was, I knew at my age and at the time of injuries and stuff, I wasn't going to make it. I was going to, I was almost 30 when I went there, and I was too old to go to WWF. So I knew I was happy, right? I finally found my niche, and because could both wrestle. I could wrestle or do hardcore, either one. And I was happy. I was fine. Yeah.
And that was kind of answered my other question. Like, you had the naysayers up there, especially it's always been a big feud in California in wrestling, NorCal versus SoCal.
Yeah.
And even though you heard them talk about, the lowest common denominator, did you have that feel at the time, even though you were talking to Kevin Kleinrock previously about coming down for SCCW, as compared to that and the things you were doing up in NorCal? Did you think that XPW, did it feel like just another indie to you, or did you see big things with it?
Oh, no. Once I saw the building and once I saw the talent roster, I knew, okay, this is it. This is the big show. This is big time. Everybody was there. God rest his soul, Chris Candido, Sabu, everybody, Vampiro, the guys from Mexico coming down, Damien 666 and all that, and Rey Mysterio's uncle.
Yep.
And I'm just like, man, all these guys want to wrestle here, huh? And so then you go through your mind and go, oh, man, I better keep it up. I better keep going good and wrestling good, and I don't want to lose my spot to any of these guys. And that was the pressure I put on myself.
Oh yeah.
And but once I looked around and for a couple of days and we're traveling, the first night was awesome. And in Bakersfield's Chief Strongbow Arena, second night, I think I worked Kaos that night. We had an unbelievable match.
Right.
And then the next day was Ventura Theater, and I just thought, man, me and Joe were just looking at each other on the way home on the fourth day, going, "Did this just really happen? Are we not we're not in a garage? We're not in a high school gymnasium. We're not in a church. We're not in an Elks Lodge. Oh, I can't believe it!" So, and we were happy, yeah.
And you brought up Kid Chaos. Right when you came in, they kind of put you in a program with him.
Yeah.
But they started off with you and him were a tag team.
Yeah.
And the storyline went, hey, these guys are childhood friends. They grew up together. They used to, hang out, ride bikes after school. They go in the tree house, eat their SpaghettiOs and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And deliver the paper route together, and then the little league, all that, all that great stuff. And then that was the genesis of your heel turn, correct?
Yeah.
And you really, it was more the storytelling, like us on commentary, versus really you guys tagging up. You tagged up once or twice, but we just talked about it like it was just, oh, this is what the way it's always is, these two together. We had to talk about it a little bit more on television because we only had a short window of you guys actually doing that, so we can kind of build, have a bigger impact when you guys kind of on each other.
I always thought we should have done a promo where me and Chaos are hanging out in a bar or restaurant or whatever, and we always do this,
Yeah.
And I have a vignette, and then that will lead to the storyline of us being tag team partners and all that. But I'm not in the office, so
no. and I think they wanted to get that going with you because you were a great heel. But it was good that you had that little run as a face just for your introduction. Yeah. So that now as a heel, it's that much more impactful.
Yeah.
Because we remember you as a face, and you turned on like the squeaky clean youngster from Colorado Springs, Colorado.
Yeah, who everybody loves. So
all the other wrestlers, they're going out to the bars, they're drinking beers, and he's going back to his mom's house and is gonna have milk in the morning, and and all it is good stuff, dude.
Yeah.
But so how was that? Because you basically, when you came into XPW, that was who you were programmed with, was Chaos. How was it working with him and you guys backstage together?
Oh, we were great. Chaos was great. First of all, he's the most unbelievable athlete I've seen in quite a long time.
For sure.
He had like a 6'2" standing drop kick, which is very hard to do. And right away we start talking, and doing what we wanted to do, what they wanted to see, and all that, and we just got along fabulously. And when I first came in, and we started to wrestle and all that, he was a tiny bit green, but he within a year he was had 3 years of training with him, so.
Oh yeah.
And that was fun. It was good to work with a guy who was really hungry like I was, and wanted to get in the business, and he was phenomenal to work with. It was great.
Yeah, and you guys, I thought, had good matches, good chemistry together. Psychology was there.
Yeah.
And I like, okay, so now you're heel, and now you become the Gigolo, Steve Rizzano. And what I appreciated about your angle, your gimmick, is in the late 90s, early 2000s, wrestling had totally shifted from what it was in the 80s. And, it was more hardcore, pardon the pun, extreme and all this, and real. People wanted realism, and they were tired.
They started cheering the heels and booing the faces.
Right. Now, when you came in to me, Joe announcer over here, and a big wrestling fan, I liked the fact that in this changing world of professional wrestling, I felt like you brought that 80s old school vibe back as like the Rick Martel or the Ravishing Rick Rude, cocky heel, and add to that, you're the Gigolo. And then also you were, how did they, I should know, I'm the one that narrated it, but how did they get the idea to have you as the Gigolo? And you were also on location as a adult film producer and director, right?
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, in that the castle. You been to the castle?
Yeah, I remember that place.
Yeah. That was weird. That was a first. That was unusual, but I had to do what I had to do.
It's a gimmick. It's an angle.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's so true. Like, we're talking now because we're living in a different time where it's like, dude, it's entertainment. But nowadays, people are like, what? I can't believe that actor said this controversial line in a movie. It's acting, and it's crazy how things have shifted from that.
Yeah.
And there's a big problem, not only in wrestling, but for entertainers. They can't fully get into their characters because they're worrying about the real world in a character. And so again,
that's funny.
Yeah. And we're talking about you on a porn shoot as a character. And now we're like, is that okay? It's freaking entertainment, man.
Yeah.
But I digress. So now that was part of your gimmick, the Gigolo. We're going to put you over as this ultimate ladies' man. And then the vignettes as well of you walking down Hollywood Boulevard and attacking Dynamite D.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, a great thing that I really loved about your gimmick, and talk about putting you over, and talk about also bringing that old school back, is you being managed by the late, great, legendary Playboy Buddy Rose.
Yes. I was throwing my hands in the air, raising a fist, going, God bless him, man. Yeah. I learned so much from Buddy on when we brought him in, and rode together from the hotel to the vignettes to the shows and stuff. And he had so many stories and so many. I was like, well, what if I do this? And in the vignettes, he's schooling me on how to be with chicks, or how to beat that guy, whatever. And that was really happening in real life. He was actually schooling me and teaching me, because, the guys from that era, they wanted to give back. And I always carried an 80s sort of stigmata, if you will, with me, because that was my favorite time in wrestling, 80s, NWA and
same here,
WWF, all that stuff. And when I did that, I just always carried myself like that. I thought, why do we have to stop 80s wrestling? Why don't we do it? And that was one of the things. Roland had an idea. He took 80s wrestling took Japanese wrestling and hardcore, and we smushed them all together.
Right.
And that produced our product. But I always thought that the guys, once I went to LA and saw the athletes there, and then went to a couple shows, Dragons promotion and all that. I thought, man, the guys from LA are damn good workers. Everybody I met from LA is unbelievable athlete. Kaos and all those people, and Dynamite D, Miss Dynamite D, and all that. And I mean, I forgot what I was saying, but go ahead.
Well, talking about having Playboy Buddy Rose as your mentor,
yes,
and how impactful that was for your career, and it was a big coup. I think everyone talks about Shane Douglas came into XPW, not taking anything away from him, or Sabu or Gigolo, and it's like, dude, Playboy Buddy Rose has got to be in that conversation.
It is funny because
I was marking out in the office when that was announced. So, what? It's like, calm down, Kloss, calm down. It's fucking flow. This is going to be awesome, and all that.
Yeah. Yeah, Buddy, how Buddy got into XPW, I was talking, I think, Kevin and Rob on a conference call or something. And he goes, I want you to be that 80s guy and wear the shades, like Buddy Rose. I go, I can get Buddy Rose if you want him.
Oh, wow.
He goes, can you? I go, yeah, let me give him a call. And that's how that happened.
No kid. I see news to that. I don't think I ever heard that before, man.
Yeah.
Wow. Thanks for sharing that one, dude. Yeah. And thanks for getting him in.
Yeah. Yeah, we had a lot of fun.
Again, we're in this big arena with all these hardcore fans and the blood and the weapons, and here comes Buddy Rose out as the heel, and it's like, this is that little breath of fresh air. Ironically, that's the thing that died out and people were tired of, but that was a breath of fresh air and a little bit of comedy that I think at times XPW needed a kick in the rear with being okay, adding some comedic timing and elements to the product, but don't make it all about that. Just sprinkle in a little comedy.
Yeah, that was good.
Right. And I think that was more of a positive that XPW received a little bit more than I think people realized.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, one of the great things I think XPW did is you finally put out a tape called We Wrestle.
Yeah.
And every single other tape before that is hardcore. And that was a brilliant idea. And I don't know whose idea that was, but that was the smartest thing they could have ever done, is show that, yeah, we can wrestle too.
Yeah.
I mean, even New Jack's on there throwing an arm drag. So, it was good. And
again, the late great New Jack, who we unfortunately just lost.
We did?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
When does happen?
Like I said, this is all pretty fresh, recent news. So,
when did you find out?
Well, it's been like a week or two now.
A week? Well, how did he die?
2 weeks.
2 weeks?
The cause of death, producer? We don't know. Yeah, I guess it's unknown. I guess that's
New Jack's dead, honey. Wow, that's what a character. What
the guy was special, man.
Another guy that took me under his wing and just schooled me, and whenever he got a chance, we were at the hotel or we're in the locker room, whatever. He didn't mind giving advice and all that, and he, like I said, he took me under his wing a little bit and get me in that clique of him and Sandman, and boy, I learned a lot from both those two. What to do and what not to do.
There were two guys. There was New Jack and there was Jerome. And if he let you into his inner circle, you got to see Jerome.
Yes. Exactly. Perfectly put.
Yeah, I wasn't in his inner circle, but I was let in a couple times, and then you really got to see the two different guys. And you know what, man? Yeah. I seen that footage, the XPW TV intro, like I don't know how many umpteen times. And now that people have been kind of uploading these, by the way, whoever you are, somebody with the letter L, YouTube channel. Pretty sure it's the letter L. And this guy's been, for the last few months, has been uploading almost every episode of XPW TV on YouTube. So whoever you are, thank you, because I haven't seen this stuff in years because it's all on VHSs and they're boxed up somewhere. But you know, I've seen that intro from time to over with the Metallica playing and Danzig, and watching the footage of New Jack in the intro, especially the one where he's jumping off of the top balcony section of the Grand Olympic Auditorium into only a couple tables down below.
Yeah.
Like, I've seen that so many times, but you know what, man, after he passed away, watching that, it just, like, I got goosebumps and just kind of reminding, like, he was something else, man. He was special.
I can't believe he's gone, man. I didn't know. I don't keep up in the business anymore. I don't talk to Joe or Shooter Tony Jones or anybody like that. Pogo. I don't talk to any wrestlers really. I'm in a totally different clique now, and that sucks. I did not know about New Jack. I had no idea. Wow.
It's been a couple weeks now, and it's still hard to believe. But you know, if there's anybody that helped XPW kind of, get across, like, we're this, and it was a renegade fed, true renegade fed. There was no Big Brother, WWE kind of secretly helping, like they ended up doing with ECW. It really was. It really was a renegade, and putting across this, like, deathmatch extreme. You go to an arena, there was always this element of danger. You really never knew what was going to happen. I mean, how many times we lied to the fire marshal so we could actually do these type shows. But if there's anybody that ended up helping put that over for the league itself, it was New Jack. It was New Jack and a Supreme, of course, and all these guys, but a horrible loss, man. And Supreme, of course, we miss him too. Oh man, Supreme.
You know, and then Jack had a wrestling mind. I mean, if he wanted, he proved that he can go tackle, take it again, no problem. It's just easier to do the hardcore stuff, and he'll even admit that. And he had a wrestling mind. Him and another guy, that had a brilliant mind in wrestling was Hack, Sandman.
Yeah, he did.
Oh my God, we're doing photos shoot one day, and he's like, "No, you sit there, turn your head like this, and don't do this, and then this," and everybody, and it was like, and the pictures came out, and they were awesome. I'm like, damn, you've done this before.
Yeah, absolutely, dude, and an honor to work with so many great minds in the business, and guys that were legends. Okay, well, you know what? You just brought up death matches, Steve, and we talked a little bit about this before we started rolling here. But I mean, it's two different animals, right? Like I say, one's easier than the other, but yeah, like memorizing the match and all the technical moves, you don't do so much in death matches. But I have to say, how did that happen to where at one of the deathmatch tournaments at Patriot Hall in Van Nuys, this is when we were in between the LA Sports Arena and the Grand Olympic. We had to do shows at that high school gym, which ended up being cool in the sense that
was a great place. Yeah, it was nice.
Yeah, the fans were so close and compact in there. That's the one positive about the Birmingham High School Patriot Hall shows.
Yeah.
But then we belonged in the Grand Olympic or the Sports Arena at that time because wrestling was so hot. We were on television, so we were getting the crowds.
Yeah.
And there were a lot of people that got turned away for those Birmingham High.
Really? Wow.
Because it was a small place and you could fit so many people in there, right?
Yeah.
But, as compared to like the entire lower bowl of the LA Sports Arena was full. It was like, that's a lot of people, you know, but when you entered, how did that come about? Because I want to talk about when you were in a death match with Pogo, your boy, with Supreme. I believe it was a triple threat with all you three guys. I forget how the match started. Like it was 2 1-on-1, and then someone came to the ring and interjected, right? But
Supreme did a run-in. Me and Pogo run for a few minutes, and then Supreme came running in.
And that ended up being a triple threat, three-way dance. But, dude, the thing is, what people still talk about to this day is you came in there with just your straight-up trunks.
Yeah.
Your trunks, no legs were exposed, your back and stomach, and you did all that. That was your first death match, right?
Yeah.
And you did it with your trunks on. Was that your decision? Did somebody else want it? And I think to this day, it was a good decision in the sense that it's iconic because all those deathmatch wrestlers, most of them covered themselves up. Not to take anything away from them and the pain they went through, but you went in there like almost bare naked, man, and it was a death.
I don't know. I got the idea kind of a Cactus Jack. I had a gleam in my eye, as he said, that night, and he did Hell in a Cell, and I had the same idea. I go, you know what? Has anybody wrestled a death match in just trunks? I don't think so. So I went through all the YouTube, and I went through. I couldn't find. I went to CZW. I thought somebody there would definitely do it, but no, they had one guy with his shirt off. That was it.
You didn't go to YouTube, man. You had to go do your homework and get videos because we didn't have YouTube.
That's right. You're right. I'm dating myself. I said, you know what? I'm gonna do this, and it's gonna hurt, but I don't think it's been done yet. And if it has been done, oh well. And I just wanted to bring something new to that people wouldn't see. You're never going to see a wrestler go out in trunks and do a death match and barbed wire and thumbtacks. And it was very painful, but I like being the first to do something. I like making history, and I just thought this is different. This will put asses in the seats, hopefully, and that's what I was thinking. I wanted to get people in seats and all that.
I could still remember you after the match in the dressing room, dude. It was like watching Passion of the Christ, dude. I'm serious, man. It was like pulling. You had I think Jessica Darlin was there helping out, and
Ron Head was taking tacks out of my back too.
Yes, and it was a sight to behold. Because it was like after every tack and all the pieces of glass came out, it was like drip blood. Take this one out, drip blood. It was crazy.
Yeah. It was. I didn't feel it until the next morning. So that's when you got to decide: am I going to have coffee or am I going to have a lot of coffee? And it was. I wouldn't have changed anything. I'd have probably. Maybe protected my head a little bit more, but that's about it. It was a lot of fun, and I'm glad to be able to be a first on there.
Do you remember in that match of all the stuff you went through, what weaponry was the worst of all of them? The glass, the thumbtacks, the barbed wire. What was the worst?
When Supreme slammed me there was a black box, wooden box filled with tacks. That was the worst because he was moving. When he would move the box to set me into the position he wanted, the tacks would rub like this, like sandpaper, and they would go in and out, in and out, in and out. So I'm arching my back and doing this. I'm not selling. I'm in a lot of pain. It's real. So that was it. It was when he moved the thing. I was like, oh God.
Wow. Are you a guy that doesn't like the dentist, or are you a guy that doesn't like getting shots at all?
Yeah.
It's like now you're getting 1,000 of them at once.
Yeah. And it turns out I had to. I ended up going to the hospital that weekend or that Sunday night when I got back because my back was doing weird things, and they shot they said, how'd you get all these cuts? I go, I fell into barbed wire. So they gave me a tetanus shot for that. So I had a few tetanus shots with XPW.
So now when you, just to fast forward a little bit before we get into some of the other things of that time in XPW, we saw you at Cold Day in Hell, and you were in a wheelchair at that point in time, correct?
Yeah. Yes.
So can you talk a little bit about how that came about, why you were there? Did it have anything to do with the match, like the death match, or was it other things in wrestling?
Other things. What had happened was I retired in 04.
Yeah.
And as soon as I stopped wrestling, all my injuries came up. From my foot to the top of my head, everything hurt. And so I started having surgeries because I was supposed to have surgeries to some of these injuries in the early 90s. And I waited till or mid 2000s. And that was 3 back surgeries, 2 knee surgeries, 2 shoulder surgeries, over 150 concussions. And I just got diagnosed, by the way. I have CTE and traumatic brain injury and all that. I just had an MRI, and they found the CTE and all that. So I'm a little worried about that. But
I'm sorry to hear that, man. You're in my prayers, dude.
Thank you. And but what were we talking about?
Well, you're talking about it right now. I mean, when you were in the wheelchair, was that just kind of due to just everything combined? It sounds like, yeah.
Yeah, that and all my injuries started coming up. I started having surgeries, and my walking skills. It was hard to stand for a while. It was hard to stand, and my wife's like, "Get a wheelchair, get a walker, Joanne." I'm like, "No, I don't need it. No, I don't need it." And finally, I succumbed. I said, "Give me a wheelchair. I can't do this anymore." And I was so busted up from so many injuries, and at the same time, the medicine they had me on was knocking me out. They had me on Oxy and Norco, and you know the list. Yeah. And that was making my immune system weak too. So I kept getting sick, and it was a mess. So I finally straightened out of it, and I wish I do look back on that show and wish I had not been in a wheelchair. I wish I could have done something a little bit better, but it is what it is. It's part of history, as you say. So.
And like I said before, man, you can also look at it as like, well, kudos to you for actually look, hey, I'm in a wheelchair, but I'm still going to be out here and do something. So you can look at it too, bro. Absolutely.
Thank you.
And it was a reunion show. Everybody was there, and you were a big part of the company. You probably would have been one of those guys. Hey, why wasn't this guy at the show? You know, because there are some guys that are like, why weren't they there? Why weren't they there? And you would have just naturally been on that list.
Yeah.
And it was an important show for all of us, Cold Day in Hell.
Wow.
But let me ask you this, Steve. You know, we talked about Chaos, talked about coming in with Playboy Buddy Rose, and of course the genesis of the Gigolo, Steve Rizzano. By the way, I liked how you, when you came out in the ring as a heel with Rose, and I remember you specifically named like a bunch of heroes. Why do you want to be like these other heroes? You guys all idolize Kobe Bryant, and you threw all these names, and then you threw out Tommy Maddox because he was the LA Xtreme XFL quarterback of LA. I always thought that was kind of cool that you did that. It was so random.
I don't remember that, but I probably did. So.
Yeah, But you talked about all these guys that you worked with and were working with as far as you played Buddy Rose, your manager. But as far as the wrestlers, you mentioned Chaos. Do you have any favorite match or opponent in XPW?
Kid Chaos and Dynamite D.
Okay.
And then my favorite match is the 3-way match with me and Juventud Guerrero and Dynamite D.
Yes. Classic.
That was my first 3-way dance, and it went pretty good. So yeah,
that was it. That was also at Patriot Hall, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Amazing. Okay, so then you great match, and I'm gonna if one of us producer we'll throw it down here, a link if we find that on YouTube, because that was a stellar match. You're right.
Yeah.
How was it working with Hoovy?
In the locker room, I said, "Now remember, I'm not as fast as you, so slow down."
Not many people were as fast as him.
Yeah, he was
Yeah.
very fast, and I knew what I was getting into because I've seen him 1,000 times. So I just told him, I said, I'm not, and he did good. I kept up with him as best I could, I thought. But it went good. It was a really great match, and I loved it. So
How was talking to him in the back with the language barrier? Was that okay?
yeah, it was fine. He was
Okay.
fine. Yeah, no problem. We had run into each other before in NorCal when Kurt White brought him down a couple times for BTW, Big Time Wrestling, and he brought in him and Rey Mysterio, and I saw Hoovy on that show a couple times, so
Okay.
we knew each other in the passing.
So before we get into, let's say, getting into the Grand Olympic days, how was it being a part of the Black Army? Of course, spearheaded by Rob Black,
Right.
the shoot and work CEO of the company. How was it being in that faction, and also your thoughts on Rob Black?
I thought it was a good compliment that they wanted to put me in the Black Army, which was XPW's NWO at the time. And I thought, well, this could be good. This could be bad. We're going to do run. So I knew I was happy. I was great. And Rob always cracked me up. Rob, he had that thick accent and everything he said. And then you're going to freaking do this. And then you're going to, and then we'll freaking do this. And we'll effing do that. And we're going to effing do this. It's going to be effing beautiful. I thought Rob was a character.
Yeah.
You know, he had me. We went to his house a couple times.
Yeah.
And we shot promos there, and him and Lizzie, and at the time he treated me really nice, and I treated him back real nice, and everybody was great. It was a good, interesting character.
Right. Yeah. He was definitely a character, man, and he almost had to showcase himself on television. He was too much of a character in real life not to be on TV.
I mean, it's brilliant to run for mayor knowing he's going to lose. He had to know, but it was for promotion, right?
You know what all of us did? We all had the task of, and we got taken care of for it, but we had the task. We all needed to get signatures for him to be on the ballot.
Oh, really?
So I would go out to the grocery stores and just stand in front of the grocery store and solicit and get people's signatures. So we all did that all around town.
Wow.
And I have to say, I'm not tooting my horn, but I got the most signatures of anyone for him.
Right on.
Yeah. And I was happy to do it because it was part of the company and it was kind of exciting. It's like, dang, he's going to get on the ballot, legitimately run for mayor. And that all that was, like you said, it was to promote XPW.
Yeah. It was brilliant.
It's brilliant.
Brilliant.
Good times, man. Good times.
Yeah.
And then so now you're kind of establishing yourself in XPW. The fans are getting to know you. You're showcased on television now. How was this to you, experiencing all this? You know, telling your family, your friends, because this is at a time too where we weren't just on local TV. We were syndicated throughout pockets of North America at this time on the America One network, and of course our VHS and DVDs were worldwide. And I actually had Gabriel Wantastico on this show not too long ago, and he kind of reminded me, which I'm surprised I forgot to never bring it up, is that wrestling and in media and entertainment was really still VHS, and XPW was the first ever, and I forgot all about this, but we were the first ever pro wrestling DVD released before, because we jumped on it before WCW and WWE.
Right.
And so, because look, we had all these advantages. We were working in an adult film company, and say what you want, it was still an entertainment company with all the equipment, the office, the editing, the cameras, like everything. So they, of course, were already putting DVDs out for their adult film, and the same distributor that would make those discs did that for us in wrestling. So we got that jump on WWE, WCW, ECW. The
You
first,
had your own production warehouse already going.
yeah, we had
So
a lot.
yeah,
Right, we had a lot of advantages. But knowing this, Steve, worldwide distribution, first ever DVD in pro wrestling, syndicated throughout North America. What was going through your mind and talking to your family, your friends, and all that when this was happening?
Oh, it was a dream come true. You know, we're doing pay-per-views. We're on TV. We're traveling all over California and Oregon and other states, and I got a lot of publicity from XPW that got me into other states. I went to Texas and got me into other promos in LA. Worked for Henry Luna. I don't remember the name of the promotion, but he brought me down a couple times. And
but I hope I'm not dropping a bombshell here, but the late great Henry Luna. I don't know if you knew that.
No, I did not. Oh my God, when did he die?
He was a little while ago now, but I'll tell you a crazy story about him. He one day backstage in XPW, he was already working there, but he goes up to me, goes, "Kloss, what's up, dude?" And I'm like, "Oh, you're Henry, right?" "Yeah, no, dude, you know who I am?" I'm like, yeah, I've seen you around." He's like, "No, dude, we went to junior high together." I was like, "Oh my gosh, dude, what's up? I know exactly who you are, man." And
that's crazy.
Yeah, we went to junior high together, and he was a good dude, man. And he was just a cool cat all around. And yeah,
what did he die of? What happened?
I'm asking my producer, and the hands went up again. So no, I'm not sure. Okay. I don't know if it's out there public, but rest in peace, because we actually haven't met him yet on Xtreme Memories. But want to shout out to him and rest in peace, Henry Luna.
Yeah, he was a good friend.
Yeah, my buddy from freaking junior high school, dude. But
yeah, I know.
Wow, that's cool that you're mentioning that the doors started opening up for you.
Yeah.
Because of this exposure on XPW, and it didn't hurt either that you were managed by Playboy Buddy Rose.
Yeah.
You eventually got into the Enterprise, which I want to talk about right now. And the fact that, look at that spot you did is ingrained in a lot of people's heads, that death match with just your trunks on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was, I did it a few more times, I think.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I did another death match and in my trunks. And then I started to get a reputation for hardcore. When you come in and you can work hardcore with this guy, I said, I could work hardcore with that guy, but not for that price, but I'll wrestle for him, because I wanted to save my body for TV, so.
Yeah. The money, baby.
Yeah.
You're the Gigolo, man.
That's right.
You are the Gigolo. But so, Steve, going now, so we're doing shows. We were at the LA Sports Arena. You were in the Black Army at that point, and that was the genesis of XPW TV. So we launched on television in April of 2000, and that's right around the time you and Pogo, you were wrestling before television, but because of that, you were right there at the beginning of TV.
Yeah.
XPW TV.
Yes.
So a big advantage for you and those of us that were on from the beginning. And then you go into doing the death matches at Patriot Hall, and now a new faction starts up. Like you said, it's like another NWO or a DX or the Four Horsemen.
Yeah.
There's always been factions, and the Enterprise.
Yeah.
You're in the Enterprise with GQ Money, Veronica Kane, and you got prompted to come into the Enterprise because you were feeling down upon yourself, and you saw a late night infomercial with motivational speaker TJ Rush. And
that's right.
He was the Tony Robbins of XPW.
Yeah. We did that promo at Rob's house, and we were thinking about where to shoot. I go, we can shoot. We're shooting in this room right over here. I go, okay. And I'm like, what can I do? I could be in bed.
Yeah.
Or I could be on the floor between the wall and the bed. That's even better. So I angled the TV, and I took my glass of it was grape juice or something like that. I'm sorry, it was apple juice, supposed to look like bourbon. and I'm
Right.
drinking it and doing all that because I don't drink. And
Well, that's right. You know,
Yeah.
I remember that now. Yeah.
yeah, and that's how that went. And
I think you had like pill bottles on the floor.
yeah, yeah.
And here comes T. That's one of the characters that I think gets overlooked. Like I thought that was a brilliant character, a motivational speaker.
Oh
TJ.
yeah.
And I remember on commentary, every time I would say his name, I would always, even though it was like a quick clothesline, it's like, oh wow, nice clothesline from motivational speaker TJ Rush. I tried to never just call him TJ Rush. I'd always motivational speaker TJ Rush, motivational speaker TJ Rush. You know,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, I liked the idea of that. We had the beauty, and she was the Veronica, and then we had GQ Money, the streetwise guy, and then we had the businessman, TJ Rush. And I thought it was a good. Again, he had me, who was somewhere mixed into all that.
Yeah, well, you had your gimmick. You were like you fit in with all those cocky personas. As you're a natural fit. The Gigolo. I'm the God's gift to women. Steve Rizzano.
Right. Yeah, that was fun. The Enterprise was fun. We did a whole lot. We did a lot. I learned a lot from that, and it was fun. It was a good time. I'm glad we did it.
Yeah, a lot of and it was good television, and you guys were like controversial within an already controversial Fed.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And some of the skits, some of the vignettes, and then at that time you kind of reunite, if you will, with your childhood friend, and that was the big shift for Chaos. Chaos was always squeaky clean, like you said, paper boy, drinking milk, not beer.
Yeah.
Kid Chaos, and his heel turn, which that catapulted his career for sure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and then he kind of, I feel like, kind of was reborn in becoming a heel, and this whole new world for him opened up as a professional wrestler at that point.
Right.
And he became a heel by joining the Enterprise. And it was interesting because we talked about it made sense for him to feud with you because you're now a heel. He's a face, just like it was in the LA Sports Arena days.
Yep.
You almost didn't see the heel turn coming.
No.
Because he was one of the last guys you would think to turn heel. And it's natural that you and him would be feuding.
Yeah.
Because it's interesting because you guys were a tag team as a face. Both of you were faces.
Yeah.
One of you turned heel, then the other turned heel. Now you're both heels.
Yep.
Right. And so how was that? You said you already had good chemistry with Chaos.
Yeah.
Now you got Chaos joining the Enterprise. Was it all good vibes backstage, or was there jealousy? Like this guy's going to take my spot, or did you know you guys working well together?
We were working well together. There was the jealous thing or amongst some of the boys, because I'm coming up from California, taking their spot. I get it. But you have to be the right person with the right body, with the right mouth, and be in the right place at the right time in the wrestling business. You got to have body, you got to have a mouth, and you got to have attitude. And I tried to have all three.
Yeah.
And a lot of guys don't understand why they don't make it, because you got to have that. You got to work on your body. You got to keep doing that. And but backstage, it was good. It was so busy backstage, but but we got along pretty good. GQ Money, what a kick in the pants he is. And
how was it working with him, Ryan Katz?
It was good. He was a good athlete. I didn't know he could do some of the stuff he did.
That's true. He doesn't get the recognition for his work in the ring.
Yeah.
You see him as the mouthpiece, and of course all the stuff he's doing now.
Yeah.
But that gets overlooked. I agree.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought he was a good worker. I thought they were going to have him break out from management and be a wrestler, and he would go back and forth between managing and wrestling. That would have been good, but I don't know. It didn't happen. But yeah, with Enterprise, we got along pretty good. I didn't have any heat with anybody as far as I knew, so all good.
Talk a little bit about that, because you being with Kaos, Veronica Kane, GQ, Ryan Katz Money, motivational speaker TJ Rush, and of course you, the Gigolo Steve Rizzano. It was a faction that got over.
Yeah.
It was a faction that the people kind of loved to hate.
Yeah.
And just balls to the wall cockiness from all you guys. like there was no restrictions. Again, that goes back to XPW having the freedom to do that and be controversial. I mean, saying these outlandish things that would never be on television today. Right?
Yeah.
And so, which I think people are a little hungry for today, because we're so censored right now. But talk about the time when, shortly after, right around where Kaos turned heel. And of course, not only did he turn heel, but he turned heel while helping out his real life uncle and in XPW, the late great Supreme.
Yeah,
and
Supreme.
But I want to go and talk to you about XPW's event at the Grand Olympic Auditorium, XPW Rapture, which actually that was the one event that never had its full DVD. Matches from that show were on television, but Rapture never got put on DVD. But that was the event, Steve, that Supreme, the late great Supreme, got let on fire. A scary night.
Yeah, that was a bad night. A lot of people don't know. I had a little bit of experience with fire. Vic Grimes did it in APW. And what happened was somebody bought barbecue fluid instead of lighter fluid, because lighter fluid has a heavy alcohol intake. It goes out quick.
Right.
Barbecue fluid does not. And that's what they got. And then I was I was very uncomfortable doing it. I said, this is a bad idea. Can we do something else? I've never done this before. And I'm like, no, we're going to do it. It's okay. You'll be fine. Do this, do that, blah, blah, blah. And I was uncomfortable with it. I had a bad feeling. I just had a bad feeling. Something was bothering me. I don't know what it was. Angel on my shoulder, whatever. And what had happened was we poured it all over the table, and then it pooled off the table and made a pool on the mat.
Right.
So when he hit the fire and then lit on fire and then landed in the puddle. And then by the time I was standing above him in shock, and I slowly reach like this, and he's already gone. And I was thinking about just diving on him.
And I think another aspect of that's important to mention is once the fluid was on the table, and like you said, I mean, you got a better vantage point than anybody, like all you guys that were in the ring, but the table had fluid all over it. It got lit, but like a half a second after it was lit, Supreme got thrown into it. So it wasn't like, let's put the fluid down, light it, let it burn off, disintegrate, then put Supreme through. So I mean, it could have happened at any time. The timing, being in the ring, and all, and all you guys were doing it together. So it wasn't like the communication just has to be perfect. It isn't always that way, and that was one of the things that I think it's important to mention again, that it was the fluid didn't burn all the way. So when he, like you said, when he got put into it, it was still all wet in the fluid head. So that fluid was burning on him. That was a scary night.
Well, it was meant to burn because it's barbecue fluid.
There was a barbecue that night.
So it wasn't going to go out anytime soon. Even if we patted him out, I don't think it would have gone out. We'd have to have wet towels and water or whatever. But that was a night I always regret. That was a night I wish I had stood my ground more and refused to do it.
Interesting.
That's one regret I have. And of course, seeing Supreme like that is, man, I talk about having to hide my feelings in a live crowd,
Totally.
And I had to get out of the ring. Kaos was very upset. And I said, lay on him, pin him, let's go.
Yeah. The show must go on.
Yeah.
And talk about professionalism right there.
Yeah.
Dude, if there's anybody that can criticize anything right there, the professionalism, say what you want, but the professionalism and protecting the business was still upheld at that moment.
Yeah.
When the guy just got burned. It's like, we're going to pin him, and Lester wouldn't have wanted it any other way in that moment.
No, I hope not. Yeah.
Yeah. And a crazy, I mean, that night is just one of those nights that lives in infamy. It's the same as when Vic came off the scaffold. It was just one of those nights.
Yeah.
And we were up at the broadcast position in the loge section. If you watch the TV where hard cam is, between hard cam and the entrance up above, that's where we were sitting announcing. And dude, I remember after it was all done, you literally could smell the burnt flesh in the arena.
Oh yeah. Wow.
All the way up there.
Oh wow.
Still remember that.
Wow. Yeah. That smell doesn't come out of your nose too quick anytime soon.
Yeah, and it's the memory of that smell. And boy, I mean, a crazy night, but also very fortunate.
Yeah, very fortunate. Yeah, I'm glad he got burned pretty bad, but it could have been worse.
Could have been way worse.
Yeah.
I mean, he had because you remember Supreme's outfit, he always wore the black T-shirt with whatever horror movie, like whether it was Halloween or Reanimator, Return of the Living Dead. He always had a Hellraiser. He always had a different shirt. And then on top of that was the singlet, the very tight singlet. Yeah. So he's going all over trying to get the fire extinguisher, but he's got a lot to get on. It's not easy just to take off a shirt. There's actually a clip of when New Jack went through the table at Patriot Hall, and he went through the flaming table, and he got it pretty bad too, but he was able to take off his shirt.
Yeah.
Supreme was basically locked in.
Yeah.
He would have had to take off the singlet, not easy to do because it was tight, and then take the shirt off. Thank God the guys were there with the fire extinguishers, and then the paramedics came in. And what was it like after that happened? Like you said, we were protecting the business still. Go for the pin. We're still heels. He's the face. We're not going to show any empathy or any mercy for him. What was the vibe like right when you got backstage by gorilla position and just in general backstage?
Honestly, I went backstage. I went to the I had a locker room. My room was, all the locker rooms in the Olympic are beneath the ground. I don't know if people know that. Yeah. And I went down there, and to be perfectly honest with you, I was very upset. I went down there and went honest, and I took 2 Vicodin. and just to calm down and put my head in my hands like this, going, what just happened? What just happened? And the first thing I thought about in that moment was, oh my God, his kid and his wife were there. His kid saw the whole thing. Oh my God, what have we done? And I was just going through the oohs and ahs and rows, and even Joe and Pogo and I got in a fight the next day because he wanted to go see him in the hospital, and we couldn't find him. So,
what happened? You didn't know what hospiel, or
we didn't know where to go, who to call. Okay. Yeah, we went to Rob's house to do something, and then we were going to go see Supreme, but we didn't know where he was, and all that. So, but that was a bad night. That was one of those black cloud nights.
That was a black cloud.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it took something like that to kind of add to the element of this bizarre, extreme, hardcore fed.
Yeah,
it did. But at the same time, I think that got a little too real for some of the fans.
Really? Yeah.
I think so because it's kind of like with Heat Wave. When we invaded ECW, it's kind of the same concept. Like, people love to see it worked on television. Oh, invasions are the coolest thing ever. They're the coolest. But when it happened for real, it was like, oh, that was messed up. Come on, like you know what I mean?
It's a break, yeah.
So I think that was what happened at Rapture, XPW's Rapture, when Supreme got let on fire. It did fit what XPW does, but at the same time, that was a little too real, I think.
Yeah, that was because you can see people in the audience going, "Is this supposed to happen or no?"
Oh.
Yes, no.
Yeah.
They were just
but there again, for some that it got too real for, Hey, man, like it or not, there were those fans that was like, "Oh, that was badass. I'm going to come again." I mean, that's what happened.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay, Steve. So when now XPW ran from 1999 to 2003. It was only 4 years, but boy, it seemed so much longer in retrospect because it was kind of an impactful thing that happened in pro wrestling. Before we wrap it up, though, man, I wanted to what happened? How did you? Because you weren't in XPW right up until the end.
No.
So what happened with your departure?
Well, the last show we did, towards the end, I was very busted up. I had a pill problem. I wasn't taking care of myself. I wasn't working out as much. I was a little bit more cocky and a little bit more arrogant, and the pills didn't help that attitude at all. And so when we came home about a week or two later, I get a call from Vic Grimes. He goes, "Do you have your ticket?" I go, "Ticket for what?" He goes, "The pay-per-view in Chicago, or in what was it? Philadelphia. I go, "No." He goes, "Well, me and Joe got our tickets and our paperwork, and it should have been there by now." So I waited 2 or 3 days, and nobody ever sent me a thing. Nobody ever called me to let me know why I wasn't going or anything like that. And so that made me very depressed. I was very upset. And that took some doing. It was a few weeks of depression there. I was like really sad, and I didn't like the way it ended at all. But it was my problem. I knew I had a problem, and I knew that was part of the reason why I didn't get invited back. Probably, and it was what it was. You know, I ended up going back to APW, and doing a little work there.
Did you actually try to contact Kevin at that point in time?
No, because my attitude was, if they don't contact me, why should I contact them? And I did call once, and nobody was there, and I left my name with whoever answered the phone, and I thought, okay, this is how this is going to go. And then no, I never got a talking to or anything.
Wow,
just out of the blue, yeah.
That definitely explains it, because it felt like you were there. No reason why not to see you. And then that was basically it. When you talk about that transition from doing shows in SoCal, now we're on the East Coast, and you're right. That's where you were missing at that point in time.
Yeah.
But you talk about being cocky, and I tell you, man, like, kudos to you, bro. Not only for your health, but also going through that stuff with the pills and being clean now. So awesome, bro.
Thank you.
Personally, it's awesome to see that and hear that and talk to you right now. But honestly, backstage, and even though you may have been going through your own thing, you were never a guy to me that came off like, you were always pretty pleasant, easy to work with. And you never really had a chip on your shoulder or anything like that.
No. My arrogance came around because I knew not to do that in the locker room, especially the East XPW locker room. And it was mostly around the indies around here and family and friends. I was a little bit arrogant and cocky too. And so that didn't last long, though. Thank God for that.
Good. Keep it as the Gigolo gimmick, to be cocky, man.
Yes.
Well, let me ask you this before we wrap up, and I want to just thank you again. Really good reconnecting with you, man. And like I said, man, I always enjoyed your company.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, it's been great.
You were never a guy that it was always like fun to see you at these shows, and like I said, pleasant guy, professional. And again, I just love the whole, let's bring back some of this comedy. Let's bring back some of this, this 80s cocky heel, man. It was good shit, dude. And
yeah.
Especially, like I said, in a world where this is not supposed to exist, it existed with you. And of course, the late, great Playboy Buddy Rose. But Steve, let me ask you this. You kind of already touched on what the reputation of XPW was in Northern California, right? Yeah. But looking back now, talking about where XPW was, for better, for worse, whether you're a fan of it or not, folks. And I'm trying to be biased. I'm biased because I was a part of it, but just stepping outside the box, knowing all the stuff we did, LA Sports Arena, Grand Olympic, worldwide distribution, TV in North America. And, we got, by the way, talking about how XPW was like the black sheep of the pro wrestling industry.
Yeah.
We actually got better coverage from the international photographers, the international magazines. They were more warm because they didn't care. They didn't have a dog in the fight where like, I don't want this league to succeed. They just wanted to cover pro wrestling and cover a league that was established, right? That was on television and all that. So we got more friendly press from Europe, from Australia, even Asia and Mexico, of course. But looking back, Steve, as you could talk from the vantage point of Steve Rizzano Gigolo, but also as a fan, what in your mind is the legacy of XPW in the world of pro wrestling?
The legacy. Well, people right off the bat, you hear XPW, they go hardcore. It's just a hardcore company. That's it. And I think part of this, the problem with XP or people viewing XPW was, oh, there's too many girls. Oh, there's not enough girls. Oh, there's too much violence. Oh, there's not enough violence. And it was either yay or nay. There was no in between. And I think a lot of people were jealous because they couldn't get into that company. Because I remember one night at the Olympic, or not the Olympic, the other one, Sports Arena.
Mm-hmm.
I remember seeing about 22 wrestlers I knew from Northern California and LA who were trying to hand off tapes and hand off resumes. So I was like, wow, this is good stuff right here. And I was always treated really good, and very professional. And I think the legacy, boy, that's a tough one. I'm not sure. I don't know how to answer that. You could put a spin on it for me.
I mean, I love asking this question because it is an interesting question for XPW, because it did make its mark, for better or for worse.
A lot of people, sorry to interrupt you, a lot of people would say, yeah, they're the ECW of California, which it was. We had the ECW wrestlers. So, whenever someone asked me about XPW, I go, well, I wrestled for XPW and a little bit of ECW.
Yeah, right.
Because the ECW locker room was in our locker room. So,
yeah, right.
And that's a joke I make. And I think the legacy would be if people looked into what Rob and the office went through to get those venues.
Yeah.
Because I know that was very expensive. And what they went through to get on television, because the product is not for children. Let's just face it.
Yeah.
And so there was a lot of hemming and humming and hawing about that. And there's just a fly-by-night company. They're not going to last long. They're only going to last a year. And we lasted 4 years.
Yeah.
And I think the legacy is probably the new ECW of California. Maybe something like that, or even better.
I mean, I guess it's no different than like when WCW, they got Hogan, and you could call them the WWF of the South at that
exactly
point.
Yeah.
So I mean, really, yeah. And I like, I think Rivera kind of touched on it. It was like a ragtag group of guys that had a vision and just kind of made it happen.
Yeah.
And we all just worked together, worked very hard to please people that wanted to see a product like that. And so, and being able to work with a lot of great people and having that experience. I mean, I'm very fortunate too, and I'm sure you feel the same way.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, one of my regrets, I never got to work Sabu, and I never got to work Terry Funk. Those are the two people that were on my, how you would say, my bucket list of wrestling. So
did you ever think as a youngster, as a young fan, watching those guys, watching Terry Funk and all them, that you would ever be working with them in the same company?
No, I thought I'd be jumping out of buildings and for Hollywood sets and stuff and being a stuntman. Yeah. No, I had no idea. It was a dream come true. Not too many people can say they pursued their dream, they got it, they did it, and then that's it. Not too many people can say that. Most people have jobs they don't like and they're miserable.
Yeah.
And we got lucky. We were there at the right place, the right time, and we turned California on its head.
Well, a lot of great memories, and Steve, with that said, thank you, brother, for sharing your memories.
Thank you, Chris. Yeah,
dude, your extreme memories of your own, and you're welcome back anytime, my friend. And is there anything you want to say to the fans, or any shout outs or any plugs that you have for anything, or any message at all out there?
No, just I got nothing to plug. But when you're looking at wrestling, especially nowadays with the pandemic or whatever, Chinese Wuhan virus, whatever you want to call it, remember that guy or girl has a life, has a family, and they are breaking their body in half for you, for your enjoyment, for your pleasure. So just anytime you get to go, oh, that guy sucks, or this guy sucks, remember what they're going through for you. That's all.
Well, I couldn't have said that better. Steve Rizzano, the Gigolo. All I got to say to you is
booyah.
Booyah right there. Booyah. Booyah that subscribe button. Booyah the thumbs up. And we'll see you
next time. Thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button. Come on. You're not doing anything else. Get off the porn and go into wrestling. Come on.
That's right, baby. And that's coming from the guy who was directing porn at one point.
That's right.
Steve Rizzano, the Gigolo. Hey, thank you very much, Steve. Great talking to you. And we'll see you fans again on the 15th and the 30th of every month. Hey, if you don't believe me, take it away, the lovely Christy Olson.
Thank you for watching Xtreme Memories, hosted by Kris Kloss. He's dropping new episodes every month on the 15th and 30th. You can be the first to tune in by subscribing to the Wrestling Chatter channel right here on YouTube. See you next time.